Good evening, everybody. It's
We,
Laura from the Glasgow Girls Club here. I am so delighted to be joined with my good friend and Diamond Glow Club business member, Andrea Clare. Andrea, you are a woman of many talents. You are artist. You help women through the menopause using art, and you're also the founder of the Scottish Pause Summit coming to Glasgow a month today, 25th of October.
Mhm.
So lots of exciting things going on with you. So let's start before we get into the summit, before we get into anything else, tell us a wee bit about you and your journey to where you are today.
Okay, so I had quite a traditional start to my career because, like lots of people, I went to university, got a degree, went on actually to a postgraduate to become a further education teacher. And then I actually moved up to Scotland then all those years ago, 36 years ago. And I went into the corporate world and I was actually in IT training and development for 20 years. So, as I say, it was quite a traditional path. Um, I wasn't particularly, well, I was creative as a child, but although I didn't go down an artistic route, there was a degree of creativity in the role that I had because I used to create training materials, training
Okay.
courses. Um, so I did that. And then I became a mum at 42, adopted three children. So I went from no children to three children.
And did you adopt them
Um,
all at
but
once?
yeah, virtually overnight, yes.
Wow.
Um, so I was a mum alongside being having my career in the corporate world. And then it was a bit of a juggling act because my ex-husband worked offshore. So I was kind of a single mum most of the time. And then I had the opportunity. I was made redundant in 2011. I opted for it because I was finding that I couldn't travel with my role in the way that I needed to because obviously I had the responsibility of the children. So that happened, and then I did what something that I'd always wanted to do, which I know a lot of people say they'd love to do, and I had a cafe. So I had a cafe and catering business,
Okay.
um, which was it was a good experience. It was very, very full on.
Mm.
Had that for 3 years, and then for a variety of reasons, partly due to the recession, I lost my business, and I had the indignity of having to go bankrupt, which was a really sobering experience. So yeah, so I've had an interesting career before I got to where I am now. So after I lost my business, I then became a full-time mum.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd been creative on and off, as I say, throughout my life. And I have actually done four public art trails, which are the trails where you have the big animals.
Okay.
So I did two in Hamilton. I did a Clydesdale horse one, which was a full-size Clydesdale horse.
So
And I
what
did
do
a
you mean you actually created the models?
You don't create them. They're made by a company called Wild in Art. They're
Okay.
big fiberglass structures. So we had the trail in Hamilton, that was 2014. And I mean, I submitted designs, never thinking I'd get selected, and I was selected. And I had no clue what sort of paint to use or anything. I was such a novice,
Good for you, throwing
compared
yourself in there.
to the other artists, who'd been to the likes of Duncan of Jordison and all this. But it was a great learning experience, and it I must have been in the start of perimenopause at that point, although I didn't know it. And I loved the whole experience. I just felt so at peace when I was in the unit where we were painting these horses. So I did that, and then I did the Pride of Paisley, which was part of the bid for them to be European City of Culture. So they had a whole trail of lions.
Okay.
So I was selected to do that, but I still didn't believe that I was any good at art. I mean, this is the crazy thing, the imposter syndrome that
Yeah.
we're so guilty of. Um, and then Hamilton did another trail, and it was different animals. It was called the Big Stampede, and I got to paint a full size giraffe, as you do, um, which which was amazing. Um, and that was special for me because at that point brought my mum up to Scotland. She was suffering
Okay.
from dementia, but that was her favorite animal, so it was a really special thing for me. So I did that, and then I then obviously we had the pleasures of lockdown, and during lockdown, I was in the full throes of perimenopause. Again, I didn't know this.
Mhm.
Um, But I did a a tutorial with the lady that owns it was an upholstery and furnishing shop on in the West End where she designed all the materials, and she was doing this tutorial on how to paint a flower. And I thought, oh, I think I might try that. And she was using watercolors, which I'd never used before. So I turns out I had a wee kit that my mum had bought. She'd never used it. So it turned out all right. And then I thought, right, well, I'll try and do a dog because I'd historically pencil sketched uh, the dogs that we'd had when I was growing up. And it turns out, but I didn't think it was anything brilliant. So I didn't do anything with that until in 2022 in the lovely Glasgow Girls Club group. Somebody put a post saying that their dog was very ill and she was wanting a photographer to take some pictures. And also, she was looking for like a spa day for the dog. And I thought, I really need to paint that dog. So I did. And I gifted the portrait to the lovely Victoria, who I'm still in contact with. And I just put a post in the group and said, would anybody like their pet painted? I mean, you know this story, but
Yeah,
um,
I love it.
so I got, deluge with requests, and I thought, okay. Um, so I've since painted about 100 pets. I started my pet portrait business, which is called Sasha and Friends, named after the dog that I
Yeah,
painted
yeah,
for the group. And yeah, I mean, 20 that was 2022. That was kind of a major turning point for me in many ways because not only did I start painting pet portraits, I also discovered through an online course again that I have ADHD, which explains a lot of things for me. And I'm very interested in neurodiversity. And then I'd also seen the first Serena McCall documentary about menopause.
hmm
And I realized at that point that I wasn't crazy because I was having so many different things going on in my body, um, physically and also mentally, that I didn't understand. I
yeah,
thought I had early onset dementia because my brain fog was so bad. I was anxious about being anxious, and I'd never had anxiety. And also, my mood swings were so bad. I thought I was bipolar. I mean, I sound a bit like a hypochondriac, but see, when you're in that state, and
yeah,
there's still lots of women who are like this, even
yeah,
though there's so much more information out there about menopause, just you don't know what's going on, and you feel very isolated, and you think you're the only one. And as I say, that documentary just changed my life. It saved my life to a certain extent because there was a phase previously where I'd been having some really dark thoughts because of everything that was going on. And I'd been to my GP and been told, oh, you've got depression, but there was no mention of, let's have a look at your age.
yeah,
Yes, you're in the perimenopause years.
yeah.
Um, so, so yes, so it all came slotted into place. Another thing that I'm very open talking about this because I was having so much pain with smear tests as well.
Okay.
And that can be really common with women in perimenopause and beyond because everything's drying out, unfortunately, as you get older. So I went to the nurse and I got appropriate, you know, prescription for that. I went on to vaginal HRT and that again was transformative. So I thought I really need to start helping other women with this
Hmm.
because I thought, if there's other people that are struggling like me, I can unlock things for them with my knowledge. Because I started then learning more and more about the menopause, and I learned something new every day. And then I also wanted to carry on with my art, but I recognised that it was unlikely I was going to make my millions or make a decent salary from my art. But I thought, well, why don't I combine the two? And because art has been used for decades in a therapeutic setting.
Yep.
So I then came up with the idea of using art to help women understand and navigate their menopause journey, but at the same time enabling them to take time out for themselves to get creative and feel the benefit of that. Um, so that was, what the business idea that I came up with. It's been bubbling away
Yeah,
for a
it
couple of
has been.
years
Yes.
because I've had just personal circumstances with my marriage breaking down and having to, um, look after my kids and uh, improve my finances. I've had to work alongside this business idea that I've had. But
Yep.
as you know, I took the bold step 4 weeks ago to give up work, and I'm now full steam ahead with my business. That I'm so passionate about it. And
Uh,
um, at the end of last year, I started doing some research on, menopause events because I knew that there was a really big event down in London which I kind of liken to the Ideal Home Show because it is massive, which is great. But I wanted something big and a landmark event for Glasgow because there was nothing.
yep.
There's lots of great small support groups, but I thought, no, we need a landmark event to support as many women as possible, but also get this on the map,
Yeah.
for people. And the beginning of the year, I happened to mention it to you. And
Yes.
that was it.
Yes.
Done deal.
Yes,
You
and the
encouraged
accountability
you
session.
encouraged me. Um, and yeah, that was how the Scottish Pause Summit was born. Originally it was called Scottish Menopause Summit, but there's a degree of confusion around what the menopause actually is because it's kind of used as a blanket term.
Hmm.
But that period in a woman's life, it's a significant period. It's virtually half of your life because you start experiencing changes in what's called premenopause, which is kind of the end of your 30s into your early 40s, where your hormones, things are happening.
Yeah.
And obviously we then start, we're less fertile. Then you go into mid 40s on average to your mid 50s. That's perimenopause years.
Okay.
And everybody has a different experience of that. And then we have um, when you've not had a period for 12 months, that's when you're said to be menopausal. And it only actually lasts for 24 hours because then you go into postmenopause, which is where I am, which
Okay.
is when you're not menstruating, but you still can experience some of the effects of perimenopause. So, for instance, I still get the occasional hot flush,
Okay.
um, and I still have a degree of brain fog, and my concentration can be a little bit sketchy. But your hormones never get back to where they were before perimenopause.
Okay.
And there's links with um, or something that you need to be really aware of is bone health and cardiovascular health. And also there is a potential link. I mean, I say potential, but the medical experts saying that there's a link between dementia and the changes in your hormones.
I mean, it is an
So
absolute
sorry, so it's all doom gloom. Well,
no.
it's not doom and gloom because I'm proof it's not doom and gloom, but women need to know what's going on.
Yeah, I feel as though like it was really Davina, wasn't it, who started the ball rolling with the menopause conversation, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The menopause conversation because
definitely.
before that, I feel as though like there was no chat on it, and since then, all of a sudden, you're learning all this stuff about what's coming or what you're potentially already going through.
Mm,
Thank goodness these
mm.
conversations are now happening, and events like the Scottish Pause Summit are coming to be because w women have been so massively overlooked in the medical industry completely. And, to think that this is only really such a conversation now when women have been going through menopause, perimenopause since the dawn of time. You know,
That's it.
you're like, what?
I know. And the reason why it's more significant is because I mean this is unbelievable, but only 100 years ago, which was when my mum was born, um, women on average were only living until their early 50s. So they didn't have this long period of still being in perimenopause and then moving into postmenopause. So it wasn't such an issue. But now women are living on average into their early 80s. So they've got this big chunk of their life where they've got this huge reduction in hormones. Um, and it does have a big impact upon you, or it can have a big impact upon you physically and mentally. And this is why I want to empower women with information because it's very naive of us to think that we can go to our GP and get the solution because that isn't the case. The medical profession, I'm not knocking them, but the reality is they do not get appropriate education when it comes to the menopause. They get little or no education. Now, there are some great GPs out them, and we've got one of them at the Scottish Pause Summit who, they have a personal interest in women's health and menopause. Um, and yeah, empower yourself information with information. Identify what's going on in your body. And then if you do want to go down the likes of the HRT route, or you're going to go and speak to a medical professional, you have got that information
Yeah.
and you are not going to hopefully not get dismissed, which happens to women a lot because they're told, oh, you're not old enough, or you're not this, you're not that. Well, actually, no, I know my body and this is what's happening. And I know that there's these different options. So, how can you help
Yeah.
me? Um, but it's also about us taking responsibility as well, Laura, because we've kind of got a little bit lazy in that we've tended to look to the NHS to, come up with a solution for things. But there's lots of things that we can do in terms of lifestyle changes that we can make that will help us for sure. And it will mean that women can be prepared for what potentially could happen. Because some women breeze through it.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear that?
you know, but what I say to because I've spoken to ladies like that, and I say, yes, that's great. I'm really, that's brilliant.
Mm.
But your hormones will never return to how they were prior to perimenopause.
Yeah.
So there's still things that you need to do to protect yourself later in life.
Okay,
So
so let's
yes,
Yes, let's come back to that. And I like what you said as well there about no shade on doctors or the medical profession because
no, absolutely
lots
not.
of the research has always been based on men, and there obviously has been a lack in education for them as to menopause and
Mm.
perimenopause and what goes on. So hopefully, do you think that there's like because there is such now a big focus on it, which is really necessary, Do you think that there has been gaps hopefully plugged in the medical profession when it comes to menopause, or is that has to be a doctor's decision to go into that
Well,
line of
there's see, I was talking to Dr. Heather Curry, who she's worked in the women's health arena for a long time, and she says that there is really positive moves afoot in Scotland with
brilliant?
respect to menopause. But as we know, things are very can move really slowly, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but I know from my own experience of going and speaking to my practice nurse, they are getting educated regarding menopause. So I haven't spoken to my
Okay.
GP about menopause now. I just go to the nurse,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
so yeah,
positive.
there is definitely moves afoot, and it's great, but it's really important that, as I say, that women do equip themselves with information and understand what's going on in their bodies. And there's so many things that can be attributed to the changes in hormones that occur during menopause. I mean, I use menopause as like the umbrella term, and that's what
Yeah.
tends to happen. Um, so, the Pause Summit is all about empowering women for information, coming together as a community. I mean, you know how powerful a community is.
Yeah. 100%.
Supporting each other and also showing people or women the different options that are available. It's not just about going down the HRT route, it's about, making lifestyle changes, changing women's or views of the menopause. Because from what I said, it could all be doom, gloom, and despondency. But if you get a handle on it and you know what's happening or what's going to happen, then you can take the necessary steps and you can genuinely thrive.
Okay. So,
Because
and
that's,
sorry,
sorry,
lovely. Obviously, we can't share kind of like medical advice as such, but
no.
you have mentioned a few times like there's a lifestyle things that women can do to prepare, or
Uh,
if you're in postmenopause. So what types of things have you done that you would say, this could help, or have you been advised from, say, a medical professional about what you can do?
well, all the information I've gleaned actually hasn't been from medical professionals, really. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got some amazing speakers at the summit, and one of them is Emma McElhenney, who's part of GGC.
We love
And,
Emma.
yeah, I've got some great information from her. I know a couple of years ago you did the thing on World Menopause Day, which is the 18th of October every year.
Yep.
And I learned stuff from there. You had Saucer there, who are
Yeah.
also at my event. Jean Fennick, you introduced me to the lovely Jean, and she's going to be at the event. So,
Oh, lovely.
lifestyle things. Let me answer your question before I ramble on and go off topic. But things like one of the biggies is sleep deprivation.
Hmm.
Because if you can't, if you, well, you'll know from having a baby, if you're
Hmm.
not getting your requisite number of hours of sleep,
It
it's
affects
so
your,
hard
it
to
affects your mental
function.
health. It affects your mental health, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're running a business or you've got a stressful career or any form of work, if you're sleep deprived, you are just not going to be able to function
Yep.
properly. So things like making sure you're hydrated, that's a big thing. I drink way more water than I've ever done. And I've got into the habit of doing it and it's made a huge difference. But the biggie, which a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, is not having your mobile phone in your room at night.
Okay.
Because with the best will in the world, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you're liable to get on your phone and start scrolling, and that just gets your brain all active again.
Yep.
And the dopamine fix that you get from your phone
Mm.
is huge. So I've not had my phone in my room for about a year, and that's made a huge difference. I
Okay.
just charge it on my landing in my hall, or sometimes I put it downstairs in my sitting room. The other thing as well, Laura, that if you go into bed and you're on your phone and you're not getting that time to just wind down,
Yep.
that is going to affect your ability to drop off to sleep. And then in the morning, if you wake up early and you go on your phone, that's not the best thing to be doing first thing in the morning. And I mean, it is a huge shift because we're so
Yeah.
dependent upon our phones,
Oh, yeah, we are.
and not having caffeine. I don't have caffeine after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which
Oh,
sometimes,
same.
I,
Sorry, I'm just grabbing haggis. She's she's
oh,
and so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just pick the wee stuff
haggis is
up.
one of my models that I've
One of your
painted.
models,
And I'm not.
honestly, total sidestep here, but the painting that you painted of haggis for Bella Rose for Christmas last year or the year before is her favorite thing ever.
Oh,
So yeah, get the orders in, gals. That's all I'll say. Okay, sorry. Go back
um,
to the
yeah.
lifestyle.
So yeah, I was saying about sleep. I've never been a huge coffee drinker, but I know a lot of people do. Are.
Hmm.
But even likes of tea and some fizzy drinks, they're laden with caffeine. And if you have them too late in the day, that's going to affect your ability to sleep.
Yep.
Drinking, I'm not talking alcohol, I'm talking any form of drink. If you drink too near to bedtime, that is going to mean that you have to get up in the night, which disrupts your sleep. So, you know, they're sort of in a way common sense things, but they're things that we maybe don't know.
Yep.
So yeah, those that can make a huge difference. And then another thing that happens, and I've noticed this year, I turned 60 this year, and one of the things that happens every decade, you lose muscle mass.
Hmm.
And one of the things that you should be doing, this is also to protect your bones, but also to improve your stability, is building up your muscle.
Hmm.
And you can do that through introducing weight bearing exercise into your exercise routine.
Hmm.
Now, we're not talking about, pumping iron, which obviously will help, but
Yep.
doing things like yoga and Pilates can make a huge difference.
Hmm.
And then also eating protein. And I know that's a big thing, isn't it, in the shops, all these protein products. And I'm not saying buy protein products because actually that's another thing which can exacerbate menopause symptoms is all the ultra processed foods in
Yeah.
our diet.
Thinking it can
So
exacerbate lots of things, can't it?
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just things, having protein rich things. I know obviously if you're a vegetarian you can't do this, but having chicken and fish and but then there's alternatives as well that vegetarians would have.
Yep.
Um, I can't for the life of me think of them right now because I'm not vegetarian, but and just almost going back to eating diet that isn't isn't processed.
Mm.
And I've always cooked from scratch because that was the way I was brought up. And we didn't have, ultra processed or ready meals when I was growing up. Sounds like the dark ages, doesn't it? But yeah, these are all things that we can be conscious of. Another thing as well, which I mean, we do like a glass of wine occasionally, don't we? But
Mm.
actually, it's definitely not the thing to do to try and get to sleep, is to, use alcohol because you don't get the same sort of sleep. I mean,
No.
I can remember back to when I used to be out on the Raz and you wake up early in the morning, you've never had the same deep sleep. And also our body doesn't as women, our body doesn't process alcohol in the same way as it does for men. So that's how we suffer from worse hangovers. But also as you get into perimenopause, estrogen is involved in the production of the enzyme that processes alcohol in your body. And
Uh,
because estrogen is reducing, it isn't you aren't able to process alcohol in the same way. So I was finding, Laura, that I'd have a glass of wine, just one glass of wine at night, and in the morning I'd be feeling a bit ropey. So
Hmm.
that's one of the things that happens. But if you're aware of that, you can, take necessary action.
Drink the wine and then drink the pint of water.
Yeah, and
Electrolytes
but
and
don't
the
but
wine.
don't do that just before bed, otherwise you'll be getting up in the middle of the night.
Oh,
But
yeah.
these are all, you know, it sounds like, oh gosh, there's so many things that I need to do. But um, it's a fact of life that these hormone changes are going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't feel deprived because I'm living my best life now.
Yes, I love that. That is what we want to hear. And it's actually really funny because I was listening to, not really funny, I always just say that as a coin of phrase, but I was listening to a podcast earlier on and it was about insulin and like leaky gut and kind of just like a health podcast and see the kind of lifestyle things that you've mentioned there. This doctor was saying, these are things that humans can do to like kind of lengthen your life and your gut is responsible for a lot of your health things that go
Mm,
on, a lot of the things that you have said are things that he was saying. And, I think like these wee lifestyle changes, just wee bits at a time, maybe on the run up to becoming perimenopausal or menopausal, if you can start doing wee
yeah,
things now, then, and obviously there's things that some of us love, like, some of us love a glass of wine on a Friday night or Saturday night or whenever, there's things that maybe, you won't want to change, but there's maybe other things that you can do around it just to help.
yeah,
And like you say, you're aware of the sleep deprivation. I mean, I was out on Friday night for my friend's 40th, didn't get to sleep till like 4 in the morning. And then that literally wiped out my full weekend. I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like, so, and it was a rubbish sleep. And yeah, so yeah, it's all things that we know, but it's good to know that they can help your journey, ease your
yeah.
journey a wee bit. Okay, so the Scottish Pause Summit, tell us what people can expect from the event, who's speaking, what's going on, because I know it's an action-packed day.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm really proud of the event, and I'm very lucky that I've got an amazing lineup of Scottish-based experts. So we are going to be having sessions where people use slides. It's not all going to be death by bullet point, which I'm proud to say. We're going to have people, doing a presentation, but it's not going to be heavy, heavy medical stuff. It's going to be all relatable. We're going to have interviews. People are going to be talking about their menopause experience as well as, working with other women and their experiences. We're going to have some workshops as well. So we're having a self-hypnosis. We're having a workshop on pelvic health, which can be quite interesting because that's when we talk about things drying out down below. And then we're going to have a skincare workshop because trust me, Laura, my skin, oh my goodness, I used to have really greasy skin
Mhm.
and I had acne in my 30s, but my skin now is so dry. So it's important to know what you need to do. And again, one of the things is to drink lots of water. Um, we're having a sound bath. Um, and I'm really excited that we've got a late entry coming in and I'm going to be announcing that soon because that's going to be really ladies are going to love that. But we're going to talk about mindset, we're going to talk about food and fitness, we're going to be talking about well the things that I've already mentioned, like sort of pelvic health. We're going to be doing things which are kind of sort of mindfulness and, alternative things. So as I say, like of the self-hypnosis, which the lovely Jean Fennick is going to be doing. And did I mention mindset? Emma McElhin is going to be talking about mindset because one of the things that happens well, it seems to happen overnight is, and I remember when I was younger, I used to see these more mature ladies, and they'd be carrying all this bulk around their tummy, and I think, surely they're not pregnant at that age. These are ladies in their 50s, and then there's this thing we affectionately call, well, I call it the barrel belly, but I know other people refer to it as the meno middle. because you suddenly get this, or you can get this mass around your tummy. And it happened to me, and it was like solid. It wasn't like the normal overweight stuff. And
Hmm.
that is common because linked with cortisol and other changes that are occurring in your body. And of course, so related to stress. So we're going to be talking about things that you can do to help with that, because dieting in the way, or restricting your food in the way we did when we were younger, doesn't work as you get older. And it's all related to all the other changes that are going on in your body. So that's another thing that we're going to be talking about. Um, but it's going to be a lovely, supportive environment. It's in a lovely venue, which you know very well, the
Yeah,
studio
I do
in
know it's
on
brilliant.
Hope Street.
Great food,
Uh,
like great location. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah. And I want somebody asked me, what are you really looking forward to with respect to the event? And what I'm looking forward to is hearing the laughter in the room, because there's been so many occasions when I've been speaking to women about our menopause experiences, and you end up doing some crazy things because of brain fog predominantly. And I know there'll be people talking to each other and laughing about things. There might even be some tears, which
Yeah,
is okay.
yep,
It's going to be a really supportive environment where nobody needs to feel embarrassed or be self-conscious and think, oh God, what am I going to wear and how am I going to look? It doesn't matter. It's
yeah,
not about that. It's about being there, empowering yourself with information, feeling supported, feeling heard, feeling cared about, and just having a really uplifting day, going away with at least one easy to action strategy, which is going to make your life easier.
nice.
And then you get to have a follow-up call with me where I will just check in with everybody, see how they're getting on. If people don't want to do it, it's fine. But I want to check
Mm.
in with everyone, see how they're getting on. And then if they're wanting any additional support, I can point them in the right direction. We've got some lovely exhibitors as well who are, I've been very selective about picking exhibitors that are offering something that is relevant to ladies in this phase of life.
Yep.
And yeah, we're having a brunch rather than a lunch. And it's just going to be a really amazing day.
I think exactly like you said with community, it's about feeling like you belong, you're not alone. Like, everyone's journey, as you said, through perimenopause, menopause is different. And, I think it'll be lovely to hear other people's stories, and knowledge is power, isn't
Mm.
it? So if you
Oh,
hear
definitely.
one person's dealt with something, then it could help you in your journey. So who's the event for then? Is it for a woman who maybe doesn't know if they're in perimenopause? Who's it for? Is it just for
It's
everyone?
for women, Rick. It's for women. It obviously, if women are in perimenopause and they're struggling, then yes, get along to the event. If women who are, in premenopause or younger, that thinking, oh, I want to be prepared, get along to the event. If you're like me in postmenopause, you've been through perimenopause, you're not exactly sure what happened,
Mhm.
and you potentially are still experiencing issues, get along to the event. Or you might want to just make sure that you're taking appropriate action to avoid some of the things that can occur in later life.
Okay.
If you're a daughter, for instance, who knows that their mum's struggling, or, because I've spoken to people, I actually spoke to a gentleman who's a menopause coach. And, that's always been a bit of a sort of a hot topic for me about men getting involved. And he said to me, I got involved, Andrea, because as a child, I witnessed my mum going through it and, the impact it had upon me. So, people who an event for women, but it could be that you want to come along and find out about it so you can support a work colleague, you support a friend, you can support your mother, or might be a mum who wants to support their daughter. There's all these situations, and the event will be appropriate for you. It's, as I say, it's we all, as women, 51% of the population are affected by this. We're not a minority group, we are the majority,
Yes,
and
we
we
can.
need to know what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that tickets have been selling fast, but are there still some
Hmm.
tickets available and how
There's
much
still
are
there's still tickets available. I've got two types of tickets available. We've got standard ticket, which is £75, but if you use a GGC 10 discount code, you will get 10% off of that, which takes it down to £67.50 to be precise.
it's
And
a
then,
bargain for a day of
yeah, we've,
self-care and
oh, I
education
know.
and community?
That's it. And then we've also got a lovely ticket, similar to the one a ticket that you had at your event, the Growth Summit. It's called the Pause Pals ticket. So two
Mm.
of you can come along on one ticket, and you will save £20 across the ticket. So you end up, each of you pays £65 for your ticket. So, there's those two options. But then equally, if there's a group of pals who want to come together, if they get in touch with me directly, I can come up with do a group booking, and it will save money. But yeah, so there's tickets still available, but I know for a fact that there is going to be a rush because people love to be last minute with their
Oh yeah,
bookings.
with events, absolutely. That's the way they're going at the moment for sure. So how can people get in touch with you if they, say, for example, want the group booking or tell us where you're at on the internet?
All right, so I'm all over.
Love it.
So you can contact me on my personal page on Instagram, which is andreaclareart.uk. Claire is spelt without an I. And then I'm also Andrea Clare on Facebook, but also on both Instagram and on Facebook, there's a Scottish Pause Summit page. So you can contact me via any of those platforms. On LinkedIn, I'm also there as Andrea Clare, and also there's a Scottish Pause Summit page. But
Brilliant.
then the website as well, there's an email you can contact me through, and that is scottishpausesummit.co.uk. And you can also book your tickets through there. Or the final option is you can go on to Eventbrite and search for Scottish Pause Summit, and you'll find it there.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Well, I have very much so enjoyed chatting to you. The event sounds
Thank you.
blooming amazing. I know how much hard work you've put into it to create it and develop it, and it sounds as though there's going to be so much that attendees are taking away. So thank you for coming live with us
Yes.
tonight and sharing it. I put the link to the Scottish Pause Summit in the comments, so if anyone's listening to this, you can go
Thank you.
straight on to it. And yeah, just thank you so much for chatting. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for sharing my passion product project with everybody. And yeah, I look forward to seeing everybody coming along and being welcome to the studio on Hope Street. So yeah,
Fantastic. 25th of October. Right, we're going to
yes,
sign off. Thank you anybody that's been watching live. If you're watching the replay, please say replay so we know that you've been active, and if you've got any questions, you can put them into the comments as well. But thank you, Andrea. I really love chatting to
thank you,
you tonight.
Laura, and I'll see you again soon.
Speak to you soon.
All right then, bye for now.